Well, in this chapter, we find out that Thriller Bark's leader is none other than the famous Shichibukai, Gecko Moria. And he's going to be a toughie. The One Piece, chapter 448, Moria.
600 million buried! Jackpot!
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters, and recently deceased and reanimated on Thriller Bark, members of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and I'm here to bring you another review on the awesome and tantalizing and kind of nightmarish Scooby-Doo-like Tim Burton-esque tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, really ended off with following our group that's inside Dr. Hogback's mansion, that, of course, being Chopper, Nami, and Usopp, and they wound up, after being chased around by the inhabitants, the living dead, if you will, they wound up actually going through a secret passage and winding up in what appears to be some type of shrine or something to that Sindri, the plate-throwing bitch. So anyway, that's how things left off, and that's right where things pick up. And I actually like how the last few chapters have been going. Although the group has been divided into two, it's nice because the way it segues from chapter to chapter is the first half of the chapter focuses on one group, the second half goes to the other group, and then the next chapter picks up where that group left off. So in reality, once you go through a few of them, you're actually getting big chunks with each group at once before it flips to, back to the other group or whatever. So very, very cool stuff. And then, of course, we know that Luffy and company, Luffy was trying to get magical unicorns that drink some tea and living, talking trees to join his crew as well. So apparently at this place, Luffy is just overwhelmed with awesomeness, and he's asking everybody and anybody to join his crew. So who knows how many we may set sail from Thriller Bark with. I don't know. But anyway, that's how things left off, and things pick up right there. We wind up as they're kind of exploring this room, and then Usopp's like, "Oh, was this Sindri's room?" Or somebody says that, and then somebody else is the voice of reason and is like, "Well, why would she have a bunch of pictures of herself in her room?" Nami winds up reading an article about her, a couple articles, I guess. Apparently, she was a very famous actress, right? So this famous actress, though, the whole caveat of this is that she died 10 years ago, right? So they're all shitting bricks because they're thinking, oh my god. So, we had said that everything was zombies and come back to life and everything else on this island, but, you keep thinking in the back of your mind it must be some kind of horrible prank. It's somebody playing tricks on us. Who knows? Maybe they smoked some weed on the ship before they got off. I don't know. And I'm not judging either. Listen, do what you want, okay? You're the Straw Hats, you got Luffy's going to be king of the pirates. Whatever you're doing. Maybe you guys had a little something. I don't know. And you're seeing shit now. Anyways, this is kind of like the affirmation or the reaffirmation of, oh shit, these things are dead and now have come back to life. So, as we see them kind of like flipping out and freaking out and whatnot, we go and we're taken down to a long hallway, and we wind up seeing this mysterious kind of figure with these tattered sort of, it looks like a tattered cape and whatnot, but a sword we wind up seeing. And I'm thinking in my mind, I was like, okay, well, I don't know who this guy is, but apparently he's going to go and take them out because they got intruders in the castle. So that kind of leaves us hanging, and it remains to be seen who that actually is. Don't know if we've actually met the character before. The only thing that I could even think of that would be close to that and looks like it came from this island would be Captain T-Bone, of course, that we had, that we met back in between Ennie's, or Water 7 and Ennie's lobby on the sea train. So anyways, though, that's their whole portion of the story. And then it winds up going and it winds up flipping to Luffy and company. And I kind of like to call this like the badass group, because this is the heavy hitters. I mean, we know Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, but Frankie's a newly acquired crew member. And Robin, although we've seen in action a few times, for the majority of the last couple of arcs, she was, gone or captured or whatever. So we didn't see a ton from her until towards the end. And obviously she's a formidable opponent as well. So these five, along with Cerberus, are kind of trucking around, just cruising around. And they're like, Luffy, what is your deal? Why do you keep asking everybody to join the crew? They wind up coming upon these, as they're walking around, those kind of goofy-looking Casper the Ghosts or whatever, the one that they originally saw on the ship when Brook was talking to him. A couple of them wind up appearing, and they're like, negative, 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 right? I'm thinking, what the hell's going on with these? When these things touch you and pass through you, though, all of a sudden you basically just want to go hang yourself in a bathroom somewhere, you know what I mean? They go and they pass through Frankie, and after Frankie had fired some weapons at him that didn't do any good and some fire, and he's just like, oh my god, I hate myself, I hate my life, I'm so poor, it's so bad. And same thing wound up happening with Luffy. So then Zoro's like, oh, you idiots, you must be just weak-minded, and if you don't have the strength and will of it, one goes through him, and all of a sudden he's like, oh my god, I'm the... it's funny to see, you know. As they wind up going and kind of moving on and moving away from, I guess, that area, the negative area, if you will, they wind up coming upon the same graveyard that, of course, Usopp and Chopper and Nami had passed through and wound up, you know, running from all those zombies earlier to get to Dr. Hogback's castle. All of a sudden, the zombies start rising up from the ground, and Luffy just goes and pushes him back down in, and he jumps back. I'm a zombie. I'm trying to rise from the dead, you idiot. And the theme that's running throughout this chapter, which is great, is that every time Luffy sees a zombie, he's like, oh, it's an old guy with severe wounds. And they're like, no, you idiot, it's a zombie, right? Later on, towards the end of the chapter, they actually, after the zombie encounter, they wind up actually running into an old guy with wounds. And it's so funny because Luffy's like, oh, an old guy with wounds. And they're like, no, you idiot, it's a zombie. And the guy's like, no, actually, I'm just old and I'm very wounded. I love the humor. I love the humor because it's not too much. It's not too much. I just went and saw for the second time Guardians of the Galaxy last night. Awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Trust me. Very, very good. Probably my favorite superhero type movie ever. And it's because it has the perfect blend of like comedy and action and just everything's on point. The whole story, start to finish, just comes to... It just goes full circle and comes around at the end and you just feel good about it, you know? And that's how I feel reading a lot of these chapters. I feel like, even though a lot of them have a bigger overarching plot, that many of these, they just put a smile on your face. And that's what it's really about. Being entertained, right? Not being pissed off, not reading the chapter and then going, oh shit, this was stupid. You know, even the slower chapters for me, they have the right amount of content and just again, the comedy that's interjected in there, the camaraderie, the story building, the character development. It's all done masterfully, and there's only a handful of chapters out of the first 400 and almost 50 here that I could say, I didn't really enjoy that. I mean, honestly, if you go back and you watch my reviews, there's probably only, I can probably count on one hand how many I've been like, well, I didn't really particularly love this one, or I didn't like this one that much. So anyway, get to the matter at hand. The zombies start popping up from everywhere, right? And they're like, oh, you know, and Luffy and company, that's where I came up with that 600 million berry jackpot. And then in my mind, too, because I'm a math guy, right? Even though I hate math, for some reason, it's like a blessing and a curse. For some reason, I'm good with numbers. So I'm thinking in my mind, as soon as they say 600 million berry jackpot, and they go and they all pull out this... They basically all just, you know, kind of like side by side, just go and just jack up all the zombies. But I'm thinking, I'm adding all the bounties in my head, and I'm like, Luffy, 300 million, I'm like 120 for Zoro, and I'm like 80 for Robin. I'm like, okay, so I carry the one, that's 500 million, and I'm like, oh yeah, Frankie's 30 and 70 for Sanji. I'm like, son of a bitch, 600 million berry bounty. They've really come far, you know? So, but anyway, they wind up jacking up the zombies, and then the ones that are still standing after that, or maybe they just knocked them back, whatever, you know? They wind up basically saying, listen, man, we're looking for our friends. They came through here. You just don't want to pick a fight with us, you know? So the zombies are like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we might have seen them, but we can't tell you that. And we can't tell any secrets and whatnot. But they just told them, obviously, right? And then, so then they're like, well, did you attack them? Be honest. And they're like, no. And then they're like, come on, be honest. And he's like, yeah, I attacked him. And the guy's like, come on, man, I thought you were my friend. Don't throw me under the bus like that. So, a very lighthearted chapter indeed. But really, when they wind up the whole, the point of the chapter for me anyway, the two major things that happen is the first one, of course, seeing this mysterious figure with a sword walking through. That's, you know, the Dr. Hogback's castle that obviously is going to go after, and it's going to be some kind of enemy, some type of antagonist. The other part is at the end of the chapter, they run into this old guy with severe wounds, and he's like, hey, could you please, and he's starting to talk to him. And he goes and explains about how if you could please define and defeat this person, get our shadows back, I will find some way to be eternally thankful to you and do something for you, type of thing, right? So now we know Brook was looking for his shadow too, and as soon as they wound up, you know, getting close and getting into Thriller Bark here, he just took off, man, just pulled a ninja vanish. So then we wind up finding out, and I'm assuming that this is going to be one of the enemies or the enemy that they're going to face in this particular arc. We wind up finding out that Moria, Gecko Moria, who is actually one of the Shichibukai, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, he's actually the antagonist, or he's the guy that come after. And actually nobody has heard of him except for Robin, and Robin's like, they're like, do you know that name? And Robin says, oh yeah, you know, he's one of the warlords, one of the Shichibukai. And he, you know, and he has when he had a bounty, because obviously once they become warlords, their bounty goes away. But when he had a bounty, it was higher than even Luffy's, right? So we know that this is some shit right here. This is a dude that's got a 300 million plus berry bounty, or at least used to, and that's before he got asked to be one of, or invited into, or however that shit works for initiation, to be one of the warlords of the sea. So definitely pretty cool to know that that's who we're going to be going up against, or at least that's who it appears that we're going to be going up against. And the chapter actually winds up ending off with that. I really liked the 600 million berry jackpot, as everybody just wound up working together, and the 5, you know, beasts, as I like to call them, work together. But I mean, just at the end here, man, Robin's face, Gecko Moria is one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and she's got sweat running down the side of her pretty little face. And I got a comment too, Robin's outfit, super, super sexy. I mean, she's always looking very pretty. I know that she's tall and thin, and she's drawn to be that way with the gigantic knockers and everything else. But the high boots to accentuate the length and the, you know, of the legs and everything like that. And then, oh my goodness, she had some fishnet stockings on, and just the short dress. I have no idea how she keeps the ass in there when she's running around, but whatever. Very, very cool, though. Looks very nice, too. So, and she's, of course, probably one of my favorite Straw Hats. I don't know, though. I'm going to do a video on that one pretty soon. You know, top 5 or top 3 or something like that. And I think I'm actually going to do it with at least one of my family members. Maybe a couple, because we all have, you know, gone through about 300 episodes almost now of the actual anime, and certainly have our own favorites and things like that. So, my episode question, or chapter question, I guess you would call it, because it is a chapter. Sorry, a little bit early for me. I hadn't had enough coffee yet. But my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is: what are your thoughts on the kind of reveal, I guess you would say, that Gecko Moria, one of the Shichibukai, is going to be our enemy and who's stealing the shadows? And it's obviously who Luffy's going to try to beat the shit out of by the end of this arc, or so it seems. Let me know what your answer is to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you have not done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
So, I am here because of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching.